working for the client GE, General Electric, and this is a power domain-based project. And the project name is Advanced Modeling Platform. And we are using PostgreSQL as the database, and we are following agile methodology and all the CI/CD tools like Git, Jenkins, Docker, and AWS.
What are your roles and responsibilities?
So once the feature is given to me, I need to analyze the feature and develop the REST APIs according to the requirement, and write the backend logic for the API. And for the DB purpose, as I said, we are using PostgreSQL. So I need to write the JPA queries according to the requirement. And once the development is done, I need to test using Postman and Swagger, and write the JUnit test cases using JUnit 5 and Mockito, and push the entire code to Git to the respective once we create a branch to that respective branch, we commit the code and push the code, and start the CI pipeline. Once the CI pipeline is done, in the CI pipeline we are actually checking all the test cases and the integration test and the code quality and sonar related issues and all. So once the CI pipeline is done, we push the code to that respective environment, whether it could be dev, QA, or stage or prod, and then the CD pipeline will be starting, and it will be deployed to that respective environment. So if there are any bugs, I mean defects, I do debug and then fix them. These are my response.
What are the annotations that you have used for Springboot
Okay.
application type? Can you just name a few?
Yeah. So for the main class, we do define at Springboot application, and it is a combination of three annotations: at component scan, at configuration, at enable configuration. And for writing the API in the controller class, we do define some annotations called at rest controller, at request mapping, and inside the class, all the HTTP methods like at get mapping, post mapping, delete mapping, patch, and put mapping. And inside the request, at path variable or at request body, we'll be passing or request param, and also at auto add annotation in order to call your service interface layer. And yeah, these are basic some. And in the service layer, we do define with at service, and at qualifier, and at primary annotations also, and at value in order to read any property from your application .yml or properties file, and at repository at the top of your repository or the DAO layer.
How will you um, mm, how do you configure your how does the JPA to your application association happens?
Okay, so we are using PostgreSQL as the database. So in application.yml, first of all, we need to define our dependencies in form.xml, the PostgreSQL database, and yeah, this is one. And you want, and since we are using JPA, that Springboot started JPA dependency also. And in application.yml, we need to define our username, password, and the dialect. These three properties we need to define, and in the repository or the DAO layer, we need to connect with our JPA or CRUD repository. So interface, suppose we are writing billing repository, which is extending the JPA repository or the CRUD repository, and inside that we write our custom queries or the inbuilt JPA queries.
What is the difference between collection and a collection?
Okay. So the difference between them is collection is an interface, whereas collections is an utility class. So if you want to represent a group of individual objects as a single entity, then you should go for collection. And collections has different methods that can be performed on the collection, like collections.sort, collections.minimum, maximum, or reverse order, empty list, and add all.
What are the exception uh, handling methodologies in our Microservice Springboot?
So we can normally go with the try catch block while writing your code in service layer, and for API level or for your service, if you want to handle for globally or for the entire service, then go for a separate package with exceptions, and inside that you can define a separate class for exception handling, and that is called as global exception handling. And inside that there are two annotations called at controller advice and exception handler. At controller advice, we need to define above the class level, and at exception handler, we are defining over the method level. And inside the method, we'll be writing like super dot message. So inside the service layer, whatever message we are passing, that message will be printing when we are executing the API if we are getting an exception. Don't want to use that normal try catch blocks, we can use, or else go with the try, I mean throw or throws keyword. But mostly when we are going with the Springboot applications, better recommended to use the global exception handling. Sorry.
I'll, I'll give you a problem statement. I just
Okay.
want some pseudo code for it.
Okay, sure.
Or, okay.
Yeah.
Let's say I have um, a string array which has Rahul and Rahim. I'm just filling in the chat window.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I want to identify the characters which are repeated in in each of these words, right? Now, for example, R,
Okay.
character R and A and H are repeated, right?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So, what is the logic you will use to identify what are the duplicate characters across words?
Okay.
The string array.
So first of all, I'll split the two words using comma. Okay. There is a command called split, and using that split, I'll be splitting the two words initially, and then I'll create a hash map. And after creating a hash map, I'll iterate the first word. I mean, iterate the characters in the first word, and I'll check whether that character is already present in the hash map. So if it is not present, I'll make the character hash map dot put the character. Suppose the first character is R or comma 1, and in the else condition, if the character is already present, then hashmap dot put then the character comma hashmap dot get. I will get the count of the character which is already present. If the character count is 1, I'll get the character count as 1, and I will increment the count plus 1, and then print the and I'll be storing all the count, right? So then I'll iterate the map. So map dot entry set dot stream, and then I'll filter such that you will be getting only the duplicates. Such I'll use the lambda there in the inside the filter. Suppose lambda e dot get value greater than 1, and then dot collect dot to list. You'll be getting only the duplicate or the characters what we are having more than once.
Integer list.
Integer list. Okay.
I just want to separate out as odd and even numbers. Don't separate this as even numbers and the other list as odd numbers.
You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you want to create two separate lists such that one list is having even and the other is having odd. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So first I'll stream the list what you are giving. So list dot stream dot filter. I'll use a lambda such that arrow mark and e mod 2 double equal to 0, such that I'll be getting only the even numbers dot collect dot to list. And if you want to make the other list with odd, list dot stream dot filter e mod e lambda, I mean e lambda and e mod 2 not equal to 0, then you will be getting 1, 3, 5, 7.
What is have you heard about solid design principles?
Yes. So basically there are 5 principles in solid, that is single responsibility principle, open and closed, let's go substitution principle, interface segregation principle, and dependency inversion principle. When we talk about single responsibility principle, it states that every Java class must perform only a single functionality. That means implementation of multiple functionalities in single class will make the class very mashup. So it is recommended to use only a single functionality in a class. And coming to open and closed, it states that according to the new requirements, the module or the class should be open for extension but closed for the new modification. And coming to Lesko substitution principle, it states that all the derived classes must be completely substitutable for the base classes. Suppose you are having a class called A and which is a subtype of class B, then we should be able to replace B with A without interrupting the behavior of your code. And coming to interface segregation principle, it states that all the larger interfaces must be split into smaller ones because the implementation classes uses only the methods that are required. If we should not force the client or the code to use the methods that they doesn't want to use. And coming to dependency inversion principle, like it states that abstraction that we should use abstraction by using abstract classes or interfaces instead of using the concrete implementations.
For JUnits, right here, what are they used?
We are using JUnit and Mockito.
What does an inject mock do? Is there an annotation? Inject mock.
Inject. We are not using that annotation actually.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'll go through it.
So why do we need Mockito? What is it? Why is that to do for Mockito?
Okay, suppose you're inside your service layer, you do mock your different services or the repository layer. So when you are writing your test cases, we should use basically we are in the service layer or in the service test layer, we are mocking all the objects which are all the services or the repository layer. We are mocking like using when and then return statements in Mockito when. Suppose there is a service called billing service, and inside the billing service you will be having some methods. So billing service dot get billing details, and we'll be returning the object what the service is returning or the return type of the service.
Yeah, I want to verify the test cases for it, right? If I ask you to write test case for that, like how much? Just give me some sample. Right?
So I'll be inside the test case. I'll be creating a separate list. So and I'll be calling a method inside the service layer. So uh, suppose there is a method called get even and odd. So I need to create a method called at test inside the service test void check the even and odd condition, which is throwing the IO exception if you are not having in the file. And then inside the method I need to call that method what you have written in the service layer. Suppose there is a service called number check dot get even and odd, and then you need to pass your list there, and then you will be getting a return type, and then you need to check the return type with assert equals the return type what you are getting from the method and the expected one what you want to. If you are getting the success message 200, then it is fine. If you want to throw any exception, you can definitely use other methods, asset throws. If you want to check asset not null, you can use those things, but basically we use assert equals in order to check the return, I mean expected and actual values.